Welcome back to the Wisdom Honey Farm. So as you are seeing, today we are going to be doing the transfer. This is the new box, and this is the box that have been colonized. So you are going to be transferring from this one to this one. So you are going to watch on the process how we are going to be doing it. Let's go.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Wisdom Honey Farm. I'm really glad to have you here with me today. In today's video, I'm going to take you through a very important process in beekeeping, which is how I transfer my bees from an old hive into a new hive, step by step. This is something every beekeeper will eventually face. It might be because your hive is damaged, or the bees have outgrown the space, or maybe the structure is no longer suitable for proper honey production. Whatever the reason, knowing how to transfer your bees correctly is very important if you want to keep your colony strong and healthy. So today I'll be showing you exactly how I handle this process on my farm in a simple and practical way that you can also learn from. Now, before I even begin the transfer, let me explain why I decided to move this particular colony. The old hive is no longer in the best condition. Over time, things like weather, usage, and general wear can weaken the hive. Sometimes the bees also expand beyond the capacity of the box, and when that happens, it becomes necessary to upgrade them into a better and stronger home. If you leave them in a bad hive for too long, it can affect their productivity, their comfort, and even their safety. So making this decision early is always a good step. Now, before doing anything with bees, preparation is very, very important. You don't just wake up and start moving bees, you need to get everything ready first. Right here, I already have my new hive prepared. It is clean, dry, and properly arranged so that once I move the bees, they can settle in immediately without stress. I also have my smoker ready. The smoker is one of the most important tools in beekeeping because it helps to calm the bees. When bees sense smoke, they become less aggressive, and this makes it easier for you to work safely. I also have my hive tool with me, which I will use to open and handle the hive. And of course, depending on your experience level, you may choose to wear protective clothing. Another important thing to consider is timing. You don't just transfer bees at any time of the day. Early morning or late evening is usually the best because at that time the bees are calmer and most of them are inside the hive. Now that everything is ready, I begin to approach the hive slowly. When you are working with bees, your movement matters a lot. You have to stay calm, move gently, and avoid any sudden actions that could disturb them. If needed, I apply a little smoke at the entrance and around the hive. Not too much, just enough to keep them calm and focused. Now I carefully open the old hive. At this stage, you can see the bees inside doing their normal work. Some are moving around the comb, some are storing honey, and others are simply maintaining the colony. This is where you need to be extra careful. Any rough movement here can make the bees defensive, so I take my time and observe the structure of the comb. I look at how the bees are arranged and where the main activity is happening. Now we move to the most important part of this entire process, which is transferring the comb. I start removing the comb carefully from the old hive. This must be done gently because the comb is very delicate. If you break it too much, it can affect the bees and destroy their work. As I remove each comb, I place it inside the new hive in the same position and orientation. This helps the bees adjust quickly because their structure is still familiar to them. While doing this, I am also paying attention to see if I can locate the queen. Finding the queen is very important because she is the heart of the colony. Once the queen moves into the new hive, the rest of the bees will naturally follow her. Even if you don't see the queen, don't panic. As long as you transfer the combs properly, there is a high chance she is already among them. After placing the combs inside the new hive, I now focus on moving the remaining bees. Some bees will still be flying around, and that is completely normal. Bees always move around during this kind of activity. What I do is gently guide them into the new hive. Sometimes I lightly shake them or allow them to find their way in naturally. Within a short time, most of the bees will settle inside the new box. Now that everything is in place, I proceed to close the new hive. I make sure everything is properly arranged and secured so that the bees can stay safe and comfortable. Once the hive is closed, the bees will begin to reorganize themselves. They will start adjusting to their new environment, and before you know it, they will continue their normal activities as if nothing happened. So this is how I successfully transfer my bees from an old hive to a new hive. It may look simple when you watch it, but it requires patience, calmness, and understanding of how bees behave. If you rush the process or act carelessly, you can lose your colony or get stung unnecessarily. But if you stay calm and follow the right steps, everything will go smoothly. I hope you learned something from this video. Now that the bees have been successfully transferred into the new hive, the work does not end here. In fact, this is where another important part of beekeeping begins, which is monitoring and helping the bees settle into their new home. After transferring bees, you should not disturb them too much immediately. They need time to adjust, reorganize, and get comfortable in their new environment. Bees are very sensitive to change, so giving them space at this stage is very important. What I usually do is step back and observe from a distance. You will notice that some bees are still flying around the old location. This is normal behavior because they are trying to understand what has changed. Over time, they will begin to adjust and move towards the new hive. One important thing to note is the position of the hive. If you move the hive too far from the original location immediately, some bees may get lost. That is why it is always advisable to place the new hive very close to where the old hive was, at least for the first few days. As the bees settle, they will begin to reorganize themselves inside the hive. Worker bees will start cleaning, repairing any damaged comb, and arranging their environment properly. If the queen is present and healthy, egg laying will continue and the colony will remain stable. At this stage, patience is key. Many beginners make the mistake of opening the hive too frequently after transfer. This can stress the bees and slow down their adjustment process. It is better to wait a few days before checking again. When you come back to inspect, you should look for signs that the bees have accepted the new hive. These signs include calm behavior, organized comb structure, and steady movement in and out of the hive. Another important factor to consider is feeding. Depending on the season and availability of nectar, you may need to support your bees with additional feeding. This can help them recover quickly from the stress of transfer and encourage them to build faster. Now let's talk about common mistakes that people make during hive transfer. One major mistake is rushing the process. When you rush, you can damage the comb, injure bees, or even lose the queen. Everything in beekeeping requires calmness and patience. Another mistake is using the wrong type of hive or poorly constructed boxes. If your hive is not strong or properly built, it can create more problems for the bees in the future. Also, some people do not pay attention to the direction of the comb when transferring. This is very important because bees are used to a specific orientation. Changing it can confuse them and affect their work. Another important thing I want to talk about is understanding bee behavior. Bees are not aggressive by nature. Most of the time, they only sting when they feel threatened. That is why your behavior around them matters a lot. If you approach them calmly, move gently, and avoid unnecessary disturbance, you will notice that they remain peaceful. But if you are rough, noisy, or careless, they will react. This is something I have learned from experience on my farm. The more you work with bees, the more you understand them. Now let's talk about hive management after transfer. After a few days, you can begin regular inspections again, but not too frequently. Check if the bees are building properly, if the queen is active, and if there are any signs of disease or pests. Make sure your hive is well positioned in a good environment. Bees need a place that is not too hot, not too cold, and protected from strong winds. Also ensure there is a good source of nectar and water nearby. This will help your colony grow stronger and produce more honey. Another important aspect is protecting your hive from predators and disturbances. Sometimes animals or even humans can interfere with your hive, so always choose a safe location. As your bees continue to grow, you will start noticing more activity. More bees will be flying in and out, and honey production will gradually increase. This is the reward of proper beekeeping practice. Now, let me also share a personal experience with you. There was a time I made a mistake during hive transfer. I rushed the process and damaged some combs. The bees became stressed, and it took them time to recover. From that day, I learned the importance of patience and proper handling. Beekeeping teaches you discipline, patience, and attention to detail. It is not just about harvesting honey, it is about understanding nature and working with it. If you are serious about beekeeping, always be ready to learn and improve. Every hive, every colony, and every situation will teach you something new. Now, as we come towards the end of this video, I want you to understand that success in beekeeping comes from consistency and proper care. Do not rush for results. Focus on building strong colonies, and the honey will come naturally. Take your time to observe your bees, learn their behavior, and improve your methods. So that is it for today's video. I hope you learned something valuable from this process of transferring bees and managing them afterwards. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Follow my journey as I continue to show you real beekeeping experiences from my farm. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
As you can see, we are going to be finding all their ways inside the box. I still go close and make a little video.